Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin as always with this morning's headlines. Greece says no to creditors. Prime Minister says Athens is ready for negotiations. Stunned EU warns of dramatic times for Greece. Asian shares open sharply lower on Greece's no vote. Investors flee to safe haven of the yen that rallied against the dollar and euro. Prime Minister to begin 8-day tour of Central Asia and Russia today. Modi to attend BRICS and SCO summits. Madhya Pradesh government agrees for SIT probe into death of journalists investigating the Vyapam scam. Move after a doctor assisting in probe is also found dead in Delhi. And the Williams sisters face off at the All England club as week 2 of Wimbledon kickstarts today. Serena expected to beat Venus. First up in the bulletin this morning, a decisive mandate by Greece. The country voted by an overwhelming majority to reject conditions set by the international creditors for its bailout. Despite the current capital cuts and fears of an imminent euro exit, citizens voted against what they called were humiliating bailout terms. Here's a detailed report.
Celebration time in Athens after a decisive no by Greek voters to bail out conditions by creditors. The no vote won with a backing by 61% of voters. Thousands rejoiced at the outcome of the referendum that they say slapped down the architects of a 5-year austerity drive that had ravaged the economy of the southern European nation.
Το πρώτο μας βήμα για την επόμενη μάχη είναι αυτό. Τώρα αρχίζει πραγματικά. Δεν νιώθω ότι όλα θα πάνε πια ξαφνικά όλα τέλεια, αλλά για να φύγει ο φόβος είναι αυτό το πρώτο βήμα. Μέχρι τώρα μας φοβίζανε. Τώρα ξεπερνάμε αυτό και πάμε για το επόμενο βήμα. Σιγά σιγά θα φτάσουμε εκεί που μας αξίζει. Εμείς θέλουμε το Τσίπρα και αυτή την κυβέρνηση όπως είναι και ας πεινάμε. Να μην μας κοροϊδεύουν όμως.
The referendum was needed after talks between Greek Prime Minister and creditors broke down in June. But despite the euphoria of the vote, Greeks are suffering through capital controls, restrictions on their financial lives imposed by the government to prevent a breakdown of the banking system.
Σήμερα όλες και όλοι μαζί γράψαμε μια λαμπρή σελίδα στη σύγχρονη ευρωπαϊκή ιστορία. Αποδείξαμε ότι ακόμα και στις πιο δύσκολες συνθήκες η δημοκρατία δεν εκβιάζεται.
I think every one of us was afraid. But we said no. If we said yes, then it will happen the same thing. But they told us that it was we are agree with that because we said yes.
Σε κάθε μία από τις περιπτώσεις θα υπάρξουν δυσάρεστες καταστάσεις για τους Έλληνες. Ούτε το ναι ούτε το όχι θα τους γλιτώσει από κάποια αγωνία. Πιστεύω ότι είναι περισσότερο ηθικό αυτό που συμβαίνει στον Έλληνα, ότι αυτοί που θέλουν να πούνε όχι, το λένε όχι επειδή δεν αντέχουν άλλο πια.
Banks are expected to stay closed at least until Tuesday. Greeks also cannot take out more than 60 euros from cash machines and may not be able to withdraw cash from safety deposit boxes. Pensioners, meanwhile, face the uncertainty of whether they can cash in their retirement benefits.
And you guys teaching us a lesson. You're teaching a lesson to all the world, Europe. Just watch these people, just watch this country, just watch them and just watch them.
The Greeks headed into the vote tired and angry after 5 years of cuts to wages, pensions and public services, a toxic combination of austerity that had reduced household incomes by a third and left 1 out of 4 out of a job. Yet on Sunday evening, many said that the country had united around the referendum in which 62% of the voting population had cast a ballot. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the jubilation on the streets of Greece comes with the understanding that the country is staring at a possible exit from the Eurozone. The IMF has been awaiting the result to decide its next move over Greece's debt. Athens says that it is now ready for negotiations with its creditors as a stunned European Union leadership calls an emergency meet.
Emboldened by the referendum results, Greek Prime Minister has said Athens is ready to return immediately to the negotiating table with creditors in a bid to get shuttered banks open again.
Σήμερα, με δεδομένες τις δυσμενείς συνθήκες που διαμορφώθηκαν την προηγούμενη εβδομάδα, κάνατε μια πολύ γενναία επιλογή. Ωστόσο, έχω πλήρη συνείδηση ότι η εντολή που μου δίνετε δεν είναι εντολή ρήξης με την Ευρώπη, αλλά εντολή ενίσχυσης της διαπραγματευτικής μας δύναμης για μια επίτευξη βιώσιμης συμφωνίας.
The Greek results has stunned Europe, with Eurozone leaders debating the crisis at an emergency summit they have called on Tuesday. The German Chancellor and the French President will also be holding a meeting tonight. Eurozone finance ministers will be meeting on Tuesday afternoon as Greece's future in the Eurozone looks more perilous than ever. European Parliament President has warned of dramatic times for Greece.
It's now up to the Greek government to make proposals which could convince the 18 other member states of the Eurozone and the institutions in Brussels that it is necessary, possible and even effective to renegotiate. The promise of the Minister of Finance that the banks will open tomorrow and that money will be available from tomorrow or Tuesday seems to me very difficult and dangerous. Ordinary citizens, pensioners, sick people or children in the kindergarten should not pay a price for the dramatic situation in which the country and the government brought the country now.
According to sources, the European Central Bank is likely to maintain emergency funding for Greek banks at its current restricted level. Such a move would give Greek banks little time before they use up all of the roughly 89 billion euros of funding available and ensure that they remain closed for at least the coming days. Greece feels that with the resounding mandate, it can now ask for a fair deal from international partners.
Αυτό το όχι, θα τίνουμε χείρα βοηθείας, χείρα συνεργασίας προς τους εταίρους μας. Θα τους καλέσουμε έναν να βρούμε κοινό τόπο. Θα δούμε για παράδειγμα θετικά το γεγονός ότι το Διεθνές Νομισματικό Ταμείο πριν μερικές μέρες προς τιμήν του εξέδωσε έκθεση που επιβεβαιώνει ότι το χρέος μας χρειάζεται αναδιάρθρωση.
The impact of the vote was already seen in the markets as the euro slid more than 1% against the dollar. The IMF had declared Greece a defaulter last week after it failed to meet its deadline to repay 1.6 billion euros in debt.
Eines Referendums, an dem das griechische Volk zu einem größeren Teil teilgenommen hat. Welche Schlussfolgerungen daraus zu ziehen sind, das ist eine Entscheidung, die jetzt in erster Linie in Griechenland getroffen werden muss, und deshalb liegt der Ball in Athen. Vielen Dank.
Experts say this referendum result not only puts Greece's position in the Eurozone at risk, but also raises questions on the future of the common currency. Greece's European partners are now waiting for the next step from Athens. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Japanese and South Korean stocks fell this morning after the Greeks overwhelmingly rejected austerity measures demanded in return for bailout money, putting in doubt its continued place in the Eurozone. Japan's Nikkei shares fell 1.4% to an opening of the trade. South Korean shares dropped, with the Korea Composite Stock Price Index KOSPI down 1.32%, while early price actions have been choppy. Dealers emphasized that the markets were orderly with no signs of financial strain, and expectations were high that the European Central Bank would step in early with a pledge of extra liquidity. Moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves on an 8-day tour of 5 Central Asian countries and Russia to attend the BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization summits. The BRICS summit will focus on enhancing cooperation in economic areas, including the possibility of trade in local currency. Prime Minister Modi will be visiting other Central Asian countries before and after his Russian visit. He will be traveling to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. He intends to travel with the agenda to boost strategic, economic and energy ties with these nations. There are chances that India will get its full membership of the SCO in this meet. As of now, apart from China and Russia, only Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan are its full members, while India and Pakistan are observers. Well, here's a look now at what else is slated for the day in our segment, The Day Ahead. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will leave for Russia today to participate in the inaugural meeting of the BRICS-backed New Development Bank. During the 4-day visit, he will also be participating at the functions on the sidelines of the BRICS summit at Ufa, which is being attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee, headed by its chief Ajay Makan, will take out a protest march over the absence of the Lokayukta in the city and 30 AAP MLAs. The Congress leader had stated that his party will file complaints with Lokayukta's office against 30 AAP legislators, including Kejriwal, and 21 parliamentary secretaries, adding that the appointment of parliamentary secretaries was against laid-down procedures. Well, India will start the process of verification of people living in 51 border enclaves to be handed over to Bangladesh as per the land boundary agreement. During the intensive exercise, government officials will ask people living in the enclaves whether they would like to take Bangladeshi citizenship or want to remain as Indians. India and Bangladesh will implement the land boundary agreement of 1974 and protocol of 2011 in a phased manner over the next 11 months. Aam Aadmi Party MLA Somnath Bharti has been summoned by Delhi Commission for Women in a domestic violence case. Bharti had failed to appear before a panel for the second time on July 3rd, citing that the Commission has no jurisdiction over his wife's domestic violence complaint. Bharti had written a letter saying that the case was already with the police and hence DCW no longer had jurisdiction over the case. Well, it's time for a short break now, but coming up after that, with 2 more deaths in the Vyapam scam, Madhya Pradesh government agrees to an SIT probe, but turns down demand for the CBI to probe into the case. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
New government in New Delhi. New faces.
People are not investing because they are scared of your tax administration.
New thinking.
The auction process is a fair and good process.
You cannot have a one-size-fits-all reform policy.
For insights and perspective.
Judiciary should be more concerned about corruption within itself.
The Modi government slogan of "Achhe din aane wale hain." Soon the people's slogan will be "Hamare purane din lauta do."
The biggest show on economic policy. Watch State of the Economy.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, 2 more deaths in the Vyapam scam case have triggered the Madhya Pradesh government's call for an SIT probe. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said he is open to any probe to crack the series of mysterious deaths linked to the case, the latest victims being a journalist and a doctor. The MP government has agreed to the demands of the scribe's family and sent the viscera samples to AIIMS for a forensic test. Here's more.
These are the 2 latest victims of what is seen as a series of at least 27 mysterious deaths in the Vyapam scam case. Dr. Arun Sharma, who was probing fake examinees in the exam scam, was found dead in Delhi late on Saturday. He had taken over as Dean of the NS Medical College only 2 months ago. The earlier Dean, Dr. D.K. Sakale, was found burned to death at his home exactly a year ago. So far, the cops haven't found anything suspicious regarding the Dean's death.
Nothing foul as of now we have found. And we have sent the body for post-mortem and we are investigating it. We are collecting all scientific evidences.
Earlier on Saturday, Akshay Singh, a television journalist working with the TV Today group, died in MP's Jhabua after sudden illness. He was taken to hospital moments after he interviewed parents of a girl who was found dead near railway tracks after her name figured in the scam. Though post-mortem report has ruled out foul play in Akshay Singh's death, there are demands for probe to ensure there was no unnatural cause.
तबीयत अचानक खराब हो गई, उनके होठ हिलने लग गए और मुंह से उनके झाग आया और हाथ अचानक मूव करने लग गया वो करने के बाद उनको अचानक गिरने लगे। जेएनयू के हॉस्पिटल में ले गए तो वहाँ पे डॉक्टर अवेलेबल नहीं थे, नर्स वगैरह ने भी चेक करा वहाँ पे, और वहाँ पे भी उनकी नर्स वगैरह नहीं चली थी, तो उन्होंने बोला कि शायद इनकी डेथ हो गई।
And this is maybe the 45th death. And today Madhya Pradesh, for this scam, is getting known not only in India but all over the world. We are getting such a bad name. It's high time that we went for a independent investigation and a Supreme Court monitoring. What is happening today, nobody believes.
After 2 more deaths, the MP government is ready to probe why people linked to the scam are dying. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has called for an SIT probe into the scribe's death.
आज मैं SIT को पत्र लिख रहा हूं। SIT जिसका गठन हाई कोर्ट के रिटायर्ड जज की अध्यक्षता में, सेवानिवृत्त जो जज थे उनकी अध्यक्षता में माननीय हाई कोर्ट ने किया है।
It would be absolutely important that a very fair inquiry is held so that all doubts can be set at rest.
The Vyapam scam reportedly involves a massive admission and recruitment racket involving several bureaucrats and politicians. Some reports claim that the number of dead associated with the scam so far is more than that of the figures claimed by the government. The most high-profile death was that of Madhya Pradesh Governor Ram Naresh Yadav's son, Shailesh Yadav. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning to talk about this is Shesh Narayan Singh, a political editor, Deshbandhu. Very good morning and thank you for joining me on the program. You know, as far as the Vyapam scam is concerned, 2 more deaths now, and the official figure, of course, is at 27 as it stands right now. But there are unofficial figures that say that close to 50 people have died as a result of this scam. So what's really happening? Because there seems to be no truth that is coming out. The government doesn't want a CBI probe. So where is this case really heading?
I don't know. I think the people who are managing the witnesses there at the Vyapam scam, now we can comfortably call it a scam, are very, very raw people. They don't have the finish. They're just killing anybody who they think is likely to go. And you see in the Hindi films, you see in the Gunda land of Eastern UP, almost all the criminals who are politicians also, just go scot-free. So somebody is trying to get somebody scot-free, but in such a huge scam, I think they are taking a very big chance, because in neighboring Haryana, you know, they're just primary school teachers, and they one family, they lost their political future forever. So if anybody who is doing this, then they're taking a very big risk. After so many deaths, they say 27, I say even if it's one death, it's something which a state should never say, and they're comfortable. They want to create an inquiry machine which is under them. If the governor of the state, the chief minister of the state, both are likely to be accused, or at least the doubt is there. So how can they, and CBI, do they think that CBI will not be impartial? And if this believes so, then it's a huge statement on the central government. And the central government is also the same party. I don't know, something very bad is happening. And now, other than the recruitment and admission scandal, the murders so far, the murders so far are a bigger scam now. They should be inquired separately, other than the Vyapam admission and recruitment scandal.
You know, everyone who has been linked to this scam in one way or the other seems to be going through a really, really bad phase and a bad time. For now, at least, the Madhya Pradesh government has agreed to an SIT probe. Is that a start?
No, because that SIT probe, the kind of SIT probe, why not CBI? If everybody, including the family of the journalist who was killed, who died the other day, his daughter is asking for CBI, everybody in the land is asking for CBI, then what is the problem with CBI? And this party, the party which rules in Madhya Pradesh and in central government, they used to call it Congress Bureau of Investigation. And now, if CBI acts even now as Congress Bureau of Investigation, they'll be taken to task. They have to act impartially. And CBI investigation mechanism is such that you just cannot be partial to anybody because there are so many checks and balances.
Indeed.
So I think if the powers that be, the chief minister is sure that he is not a party to it, then he should come clean and say yes, it's CBI inquiry, but that will give him a lot of leverage vis-a-vis everybody, and he will come clean if CBI finds, and if he has done so, then he must be punished, because he must be punished for those lapses, those omissions and commissions in Vyapam scandal, and he must be punished for so many lives.
Indeed.
And if he thinks that no, he's clean, then CBI will say so. CBI has given clean chit to his leader, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister, and after so many years. So he shouldn't be afraid of CBI. That is my view.
Indeed, several questions need to be answered. Whether or not the truth will come out still remains to be seen. But we will continue to track this story and bring you the latest as far as the Vyapam scam is concerned. Thank you so much, Shesh Narayan Singh, for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, here's a look now at what else is making news across the country in our segment Nationwide. A BSF Jawan was killed in firing in a ceasefire violation by Pakistani troops on Sunday. The Pakistani troops opened unprovoked firing along the line of control in Naugam sector of Kashmir Valley. In Jammu also, Pakistan Rangers resorted to repeated ceasefire violations and targeted border outposts along the Indo-Pak border in the district, prompting BSF troops to retaliate. A fresh flood alert has been sounded in Assam as the situation turned grim over the past 24 hours due to incessant rains, with over 65,000 people being affected in 125 villages across the state. State Disaster Management Authority said that low flood situation alert has been given for the next 24 hours to 48 hours. Expressing disappointment with the government's response to their demand, students of the FTII have decided to continue their strike till TV actor and BJP member Gajendra Chauhan's appointment as its chairman is cancelled. The student strike will enter the 25th day today. After a meeting with the INB Minister Arun Jaitley, students claimed that the minister spoke of prospects of a shutdown or privatization if they persisted with their main demand. The ministry has, however, denied such claims. The Central Vigilance Commission has started an investigation against senior officials of the Commerce Ministry for 47 missing files of special economic zones allocated to some of the country's top companies. The SEZ files in question went missing from the ministry after the Comptroller and Auditor General of India began reviewing the concessional land allotment made to the companies in some of the country's favoured locations and big cities. Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come, a preview of the high-voltage matches lined up today as Week 2 of Wimbledon kick-starts. That and other sports news on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Get live Rajya Sabha session. News, views, reports and analysis you can trust on social media. Subscribe, follow, like Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, after a day of rest, all 32 men and women left in the singles draw are in action on Manic Monday at Wimbledon 2015. Let's now take you courtside for a preview.
Week 2 promises to deliver another fitting finale to 2015 Wimbledon Championships. Defending men's champion Novak Djokovic will play against South African Kevin Anderson. Their previous meeting in Wimbledon was 4 years ago, when Djokovic won in 3 sets. He has been in fantastic form in his last 3 matches. It's difficult to look past the Serb progressing again. 2 former champions both showed their human as Roger Federer and Andy Murray dropped their first sets of the tournament. It took them both 4 sets to tide the wave. However, as 7-time champion Roger Federer draws Roberto Batistagu of Spain and Murray takes on giant Ivo Karlovic of Croatia. Nick Kyrgios won the battle of the big hitters in his 3rd round match with Milos Raonic to face Richard Gasquet. The Frenchman was a surprise winner against Grigor Dimitrov. Victory over Kyrgios will see him in the quarterfinals for the first time ever at the SW19. Stan Wawrinka could be his opponent if he does as a French Open champion takes on David Goffin from Belgium, whom he beat in January this year. There is only one place to start the ladies' side of the thing. The Williams sisters are set for their first meeting at the Wimbledon since 2009 final. For Serena, it's a vital match in her quest for the Grand Slam, while for Venus, it may be her last chance to win the Wimbledon. But for both the Williams, Monday's sisterly showdown in centre court is a match neither is truly relishing. Serena edges it 3-2 on the famous grass court at Wimbledon against her sibling. Can the 35-year-old Venus level the score? Zarina Diaz has reached the 4th round for the 2nd year in running. This time, however, she faces Maria Sharapova. The 21-year-old Kazakhstanian plays chess in her spare time. Could she checkmate the 2004 ladies singles champion to reach her first time ever Grand Slam quarterfinals? The second week of Wimbledon starts as the first ended with a pleasant day in store and the forecast for Monday looking quite good. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more sports news now. India were thumped 5-1 by Great Britain in the 3rd place playoff at the Hockey World League semi-finals at Antwerp in Belgium on Sunday. Britain lost to Australia in Friday's semi-final but ensured they finished the tournament on a high as Alistair Brogdon, Chris Griffiths, Ashley Jackson, Adam Dixon and Middleton notched up goals to secure a comprehensive victory over India. The 3rd place finish caps a remarkable few days for Bobby Crutchley's men, who confirmed their place at next year's Olympics in Rio with a top 3 finish. Brogdon deflected Dan Fox's shot from a penalty corner to give Britain the lead on 11 minutes and Griffiths guided home Nick Catlin's pass to double their advantage shortly before the half-hour mark. The second half was barely 2 minutes old when Jackson finished off a fine counter-attack move to make it 3-0 and Britain notched a 4th 5 minutes later when Dixon flicked home a penalty corner. Britain were in complete control by that point and Captain Middleton scored their 5th moments later to add further gloss to an already impressive victory and make his personal milestone that little bit more special. Meanwhile, Rupinder Pal Singh pulled a goal back for India with an hour gone, but it was nothing more than a consolation strike.
The crowd cheer very last minute. The crowd countdown driven.
Well, for all the overnight sports news that you might have missed, here's our sports beat. Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton soaked up the energy of a roaring home crowd to win the British Grand Prix for the 2nd year in a row on Sunday and forged 17 points clear of Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg. On a tricky afternoon of safety cars, sunshine and showers, Hamilton got his choice of tyres exactly right to chalk up his 38th career win and 5th of the season and get his hands on a proper gold trophy. The victory in front of an estimated 140,000 fans made Hamilton only the 3rd Briton after Jim Clark and Nigel Mansell to win 3 times at home. Bernd Weisberger won his 3rd European Tour title on Sunday when he shot a 6-under-65 to move 3 ahead of the rest of the field to win. The Austrian scored 6 birdies and no bogeys on his round and won with confidence, totaling a 13-under-271 for the tournament. The French Open carries an extra inducement for some players. The top 3 players, without exceptions, receive an invitation to the British Open Championships to be held at St Andrews in Scotland later this month. Steven Gerrard was presented to LA Galaxy fans as their new player at halftime during the team's 4-0 home victory over Toronto FC. Gerrard, former Liverpool and England captain, joined Liverpool FC at the age of 9 and played for no other club until he left in May this year. He will become eligible to play for LA Galaxy in the Major League Soccer from Wednesday and is expected to take to the field wearing shirt number 8 in a friendly against Mexico's Club America on Saturday. That's it on this edition of The Breakfast News. Have a nice day.